Make contact, stay connected. Hey friends, Diego the Podcaster here, asking you to please subscribe today to KGRA Digital Broadcasting. KGRA Digital Broadcasting is the #1 official contact for the best paranormal and alternative digital broadcasting network on the planet. Subscribe today and get full access to all content. Watch or listen to shows in our classic vault containing all our current archives and the KGRA classic broadcasts. Use promo code Let's Find Out and save 30% on your membership. That's promo code Let's Find Out in all caps to save 30% off your membership today. Make contact, stay connected. Go to KGRADB.com. That's KGRADB.com today.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. When I'm working on my 24-inch pythons, dude, I'm listening to Let's Find Out with Diego. Train, say your prayers, and listen to Let's Find Out with Diego. Ooh, what you gonna do, brother, when Let's Find Out with Diego runs wild on you?
Are you curious about the unknown, the unexplainable? Do you find yourself intrigued by the mysterious and paranormal side of our world? Join us on an adventure into the world of inexplicable discoveries and investigations that may someday give us the final answer as to what may be behind the veil of reality. The borders of space and time have opened once again, and transmitting from the mountains of West Virginia, it's time once again for Let's Find Out with Diego. The universe is waiting for you.
Transmitting from the mountains of West Virginia, it's another episode of Let's Find Out with Diego. Thank you for taking this journey with me. On this episode of Let's Find Out, our guest is dedicated to helping those in need and is the founder and director of Paranormal Houston Investigations, where he leads a team committed to offering cost-free paranormal investigations to individuals experiencing unexplained phenomenon, and they strive to provide resolutions and support to those affected. They are also collaborating with television documentary film crews to bring their work to a wider audience, shedding light on the mysterious world of the unknown. All this plus more. Please welcome to Let's Find Out our new friend and founder of Paranormal Houston Investigations, Jon Strohbehn. Jon, my friend, welcome to our show. It's a pleasure having you on.
Thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
No, thank you, because I've been following your work now not that long, because I recently discovered what you've been doing, and I'm a big fan of what it is that you do. But you know, it's one of those things. It's just like my journey. Let's talk about your journey real quick before we get into the business at hand, if you will. Your paranormal experiences go back to a young age. Kind of the same thing with me. Can you tell us about that early experience, and when did you figure out that that experience that you had was paranormal?
Well, I'm kind of slow. I guess I figured it out about the age of 10. And that's when some of my dreams that I would have would start coming true. And so when these dreams started warning me of danger that was going to happen to me, or times when I might be harmed, these were very protective dreams. And that's when I started to realize that I was having paranormal experiences.
And during that time, did your family have a history of these type of experiences, or was it just you?
The family didn't talk about it. Now, there were experiences that I did share with my brother. I can recall one night when my brother and I seemed to have separated from our bodies and were floating around the ceiling of the bedroom together and talking. And so it seemed like these were more dream state things than anything else to me at the time. I do remember that one night my mother came in, she heard us talking together, and we were sharing a dream and we were fighting spiders. And when she made a comment, that's when I woke up. I was really in a dream state. And I thought it was interesting that my brother and I were actually sharing the same dream. So, I would say that my brother definitely shared some of these experiences, and he has an interest, of course, in the paranormal himself, even these days.
And well, you said this is right about the age of 10. Did this continue? Because it's been in my experience. I don't know about anybody else's. I usually will have them frequently, and then I could go probably about 5 years in between, and then it comes back. But each time it comes back, it's kind of I don't know quite how to explain it, but the feeling is more real as it goes, and it happens in the most unexpected times. I don't know about you, but has that been your experience?
Well, mine hasn't exactly been like that. A lot of my dreams, I don't even recall them being dreams as such until it starts to happen. And then when I start to experience it and it comes back as deja vu, I'm thinking, I've been here before. What is it? What's going on here? And then I will recall the dream. And, it has a number of times saved my life and the lives of others.
Wow, that's pretty. I mean, that's pretty hardcore, my friend.
Yeah.
And going along that time, so then as you're getting older, when did you develop the interest and actually go into explore and start investigating these occurrences, not only your own but maybe other people's?
Well, I started to begin to explore it about 2007. My wife had been a witch in her early years and through college, and she had continued, delving into witchcraft a bit. And then when the television shows started coming out in 2007 that were so popular, 2006, uh, she was interested in, and she became ill. She was bedridden for many, many years. And so as she was sick, she didn't feel like getting up. She didn't want to go anywhere or anything. And we started subscribing to some magazines like Haunted Times with Chris Moon and to the Taps magazine, of course. There were a couple magazines that I did online with some other persons. Uh, there were some podcasts I did with some other people at the time. My hope was to get her, she was very interested in paranormal, always had been too. So my hope was to get her back on her feet, get her well. It didn't work. she went up. She went in 2008 on an investigation with us in Galveston, Texas. We had 350 members in our team at that time, and so it's pretty difficult to find investigations that you can do with 350 people. But what we did was set up a ghost hunter university at the Tremont House in Galveston, Texas, and we rented the whole hotel. And they went in conjunction with the Galvez. They got buses. They transported the team back and forth by bus between the two hotels, and we were given access to almost all the haunted sites and locations within both hotels. Chris Moon came from Colorado. He was living in Colorado at the time with his ghost box, and or what he called the telephone to the dead. And he helped us with the Ghost Hunter University. And Galveston, of course, had the big storm in 1900 that came ashore. Nobody was warned, and over 10,000 people, were killed. So there are a lot of spirits wandering Galveston, and it's one of the most haunted places I know of. I'm always thrilled to go to Galveston and do investigations there, and it's only about 60 miles, about an hour away from here. So those are things, and she did go on that ghost hunt with us, but that was the only one she ever went on, and she had so much difficulty in getting around that she didn't want to go anymore. But at least that was what started the effort in the paranormal.
And during it, because you talk about 300 plus some people, and I think that, like you said, an awful lot of folks to be involved because you can barely get a handful of people to agree on doing anything. But so with Paranormal Houston Investigations, when did that officially start?
Oh, I really started out as a meetup group. I had gone, I think it was 2006, about 2006, after we had gotten started on these magazines and stuff. And in the Haunted Times magazine, Chris Moon had advertised that he was going to, he was doing ghost hunter universities. I didn't know a whole lot about ghost hunting at the time or the procedures or the tools used. And so I had kind of looked forward to maybe him, meeting him somewhere where I could get hands-on experience and go through his training university. And it so happened that one year in New Orleans, they had a university down there. Everything worked out on my calendar so I could go. So I went and attended it, and it was one of the most amazing things experiences I've had in my life. I was thoroughly enthralled by the whole thing. I learned a lot. And when I got back, I couldn't find anybody that was as serious as I was about it. So I started a meetup group. And we started out as Houston Ghost Towns Meetup Group. And that's how we started. It was about 2007.
And during that time, so what the easy question I'll ask because is on my mind. I was going to ask you first, but I guess a little backstory from you, and we're going to build up to it. So what is it about Houston? What areas in Houston? Because you talk about the other city, but what's going on in Houston as far as what are the more haunted locations there in your town?
We have a number of Houston locations that are haunted. There are a number of cemeteries that are haunted, where the Glenwood Cemetery, where Howard Hughes is buried, and a number of local Houstonians. Near us, too, we have Crosby, Texas, which is not too many miles from my house. That is built on, it's a Newport subdivision built on top of the Black Hope Cemetery. Recently, we went out to a site that was Fort Bend Independent School District started the foundation for a school and came up and uncovered 95 bodies. And so they couldn't build on that site. So we've done an investigation there recently. I went with another group there to do that investigation. But we also in October took Channel 2 News around the city, and we went to the San Jacinto Battleground where there was a place there. One of my favorite places there is at the end of Battle Carnage, where 600 Mexicans were killed. The Texans were irate over the Alamo and the losses at Goliad, where people were actually executed and killed when they weren't even armed. And they were so outraged that they did the same thing, here in Texas, killing the Mexicans, the 600 of them. And actually, they killed more Mexicans in that outrage at the end than were killed at Goliad or the Alamo. Well, about the same number, I guess, combined experiences there. So I like the San Jacinto Battleground a lot. We have a number of locations around. We also took Channel 2 News to Le Carafe, which is a bar, which has a lot of paranormal activity. They're not promoting it as much as they used to. They used to have seances there in October. They didn't do that this year. They're under new management. There are a number of places that have closed around town, but I have probably a list of over 150 places to go to. We're near Spring, Texas, too, which is on the north side of Houston. And Old Town Spring is very haunted. So, and we have Patterson Road. We have there's a road out. But we've got places all around us that are just filled with activity.
Yeah, and Houston will keep you busy in itself. No, you got to go to Galveston, you got to go to Dallas,
Sure.
anywhere in the state, of course,
Sure.
because the state's
Sure.
got so much history.
It does. It does.
And one thing I found very interesting, I'm always, not me, I've never been approached by any news service or anything like that, but I've known people that have, and we're always kind of weary about when the media reaches out to do a story, or you take them around these areas. How do they treat the subject of the paranormal? Because sometimes it's been my experience that they say, yeah, well, we're going to document what what you're talking about, be respectful, but sometimes the way the end product is not as great. How was the experience with that news station?
Well, in general, we've had good experiences with all the news stations we've dealt with. Now, we did a documentary for, it was really a newscast that was put on the air, many years ago. I think it was around 2011, for Channel 11 on the Black Jesus statue at Huntsville, Texas, which is about an hour and a half north of Houston. They were having reports of it moving and some other activity up there. And so they called us to ask if we'd be willing to go investigate it and let their reporters tag along. So we did do that. And so that is on the Channel 11 news site. We also did one with Channel 11 News on the battleship Texas. Yeah, it went a little awry on our part, and they actually identified my name is on some other gentleman there. He wasn't actually Jon Strohbehn, but those little errors do occur. But it was, as far as I'm concerned, it's okay. I don't mind.
Oh no, that's great because it's usually, and to be honest, is when they start doing reports on, we're talking about UFOs, when they tease you right before the commercial, XYZ happened, then they come on, they start playing these the news or the reports of the UFO, then they start playing the X-Files music. I'm like, man, you had me. And I start getting mad, I just turn it off. But no, I'm glad that they treated you very well because these, the history and the purpose behind these hauntings are very important. You really got to treat them with a lot of respect.
Sure.
And with the many investigations you've done in your area and other cities, I'm always curious because I know there are times when people capture these evidence or EVPs or something happens there to where the spirits communicate with the investigator or any other members of the group. Has there ever been an instance of, I'm going to give it a generic name. Let's call the spirit Frank, right? Okay. So let's say you contact Frank and he's telling you what happened or, the reason why he died or why he's haunted the place. You can go to another city or another town. Are these always different spirits? Or has any of the other spirits go there as well? Do you see Frank in other parts of town, or is he just strictly to that location?
Well, I think if I hear you right, you're asking if some of the spirits follow us, and the answer is yes. One of the most the person that we had the most contact with, perhaps, was a guy by the name of Steve Ewan. His wife came to me. She was living in Mississippi, and she came to me back in 2008 or 9, maybe it was 10. But anyway, she came and she stayed with us for a while, and we had a number of experiences with her. She was a very excited ghost hunter, and she would get up in the middle of the night, 2 a.m. She'd wake up, let's go to a graveyard, or something. She was always ready to go. And in the cases where we encountered black shadow figures, she was quite fast, and she would give them a run. She was really after them, jumping over tombstones and really trying to catch them. So she was very exuberant and a very excited person. Her husband had passed away 5 years before I met her. And in a couple of our investigations that we had been on, she had said under her voice, I heard her say, if I could talk to my husband one more time, if I could just talk to him one more time, there's questions I really want to know. In one of our investigations in Livingston, Texas, we actually had a mist appear that was a profile of a person's head. And that picture's on my personal Facebook page. You can make out the mustache, the head, the forehead, and the a lot of the features of the face. We identified that as Steve, so he was there in Livingston, Texas, on that particular investigation. In corresponding with, Siobhan's birthday was coming up, and she had said to me, this thing about, I wish I could talk to him one more time. So I said, Siobhan, I have a friend, Chris Moon, who has telephone to the dead. And if you like, I will call Chris and we will set up a time for you to talk to your deceased husband. She said, oh, that would be so great. She was so excited. So I called Chris on the phone. And when I got off the phone, I turned around in my chair and I told Siobhan, okay, Siobhan, we're all set. We're going to have a Skype meeting. He's in Colorado. He's going to do this from Colorado, and it's going to be for an hour. He's going to contact your husband, and what I want you to do is sit down and write on a notebook, tablet, or a legal pad all the questions that you have for Steve. And I said, we're going to do this on this night, and I gave her the date, and I gave her the time. Well, when I gave her the date, her face went ashen. Her jaw dropped. She fell into the sofa, sitting down. And I said, honey, what's wrong? What's wrong? She said, that's the day he died, the 5th anniversary of the day he died. And then I gave her the hour, and she says, that's the time he died.
Wow.
So anyway, we had this hour-long thing, and while we're talking on Skype with Chris, and he's got Steve on there, he was actually talking over the ghost box to Chris in Colorado while standing behind us in Houston, Texas. So that'll give you some idea of what some of these things can do. And toward the end of the talk, I was telling Siobhan, you haven't asked your questions. We're getting to the end, and Chris had seen Steve behind us, and he reported that he was seeing Steve behind us. I was telling Siobhan to get on to these questions because we're running out of time, and the time's going to be up. And you're not going to have these questions answered. She says he's reading them off the list, and he was reading them off the list and answering the questions on the pad. They were nearly at the end. But that was a solid hour of EVPs, to be honest with you. And I had got a number of meaningful things out of it. And Steve did convince me of a number of things that he told us about God and about Jesus and other things that happened in this recording. I still have this recording that I do share with people from time to time. It doesn't have the video on it, but it does have all the voice. And Siobhan was very excited when she heard Steve's voice. She confirmed that it was him. She confirmed that it was his voice. And I have that to go on. So, yes, to answer your question, they can be in multiple places simultaneously, and they can follow you on investigations.
Oh, no, I really appreciate you answering that question. Now, I'm going to touch on something you said there because you brought somebody with you to help you and the wife to attempt to communicate the husband. What is the proper way to get a reaction out of his spirit? Because I as you know, the years of experience you've had, and you've seen some of these different teams on television or YouTube or wherever, where I find it slightly disrespectful how things are done, but the way to get reaction from a spirit is to, I guess, I don't know, but they're acting like lunatics, trying to say, hey, they're cursed at it, attack me, or they come at them in a very sideways ways, to say the least. But what is the proper way to get a reaction or to entice a spirit to actually make communication with you?
Well, the proper way, of course, is to be respectful and to ask them for permission, and ask them for permission to take pictures of them, and to ask them if they will pose for your pictures, and ask them if they will talk to you, and be respectful when they do. Thank them for whatever they do to cooperate with you. These are the best ways to do it. I mean, let's face it, the television shows you see, and a lot of the people that are putting podcasts out there, they are in it for sensationalism. They're wanting the wow factor. They're wanting to amaze you and stuff. And so they've got to do things. And a lot of the evidence they present is fake. I mean, they'll throw a rock. Did you hear that? And that kind of stuff, just because they are trying to capture an audience. When you're a real investigator, you got many, many hours where nothing happens. You'll go on investigations where absolutely nothing happens for hours. The few times that you really get something, and it takes years to accumulate a lot of stuff. We've accumulated a lot over the years, and we've had a number of experiences that we could share with people. And of course, mostly that's what you're going to get out of real paranormal investigators, is we can share experiences with each other and tell you what has happened to us, so that you're prepared for when it happens to you. One of the things I have become convinced of is that a lot of times these spirits will not interact with you till you're ready. So they're looking out for your well-being a lot of times, and so until you're ready, they won't appear. When they do appear, a lot of times it's a surprise. And I've had a number of experiences with these things, and I'm always appreciative. I can think of some where I had a shadow figure appear right in front of me while we had a team out investigating a place in a nearby town, and I was by myself. I saw it. I kept my eyes trained on it, and I asked the team, where they were, one person at a time, while I'm watching this thing. I knew that if I lost contact with my eye, it was going to be gone. So I'm sitting there watching it intently, trying not to blink. Say, don't blink, don't blink. Keep your eyes on this. And I'm trying to bring the people, my team in from different directions to cut this thing off so we can catch it. And my eyes are burning real bad as I'm sitting there bringing the team in closer. And all of a sudden, I just couldn't hold it any longer. I blinked and boom, it was gone. But it was a very moving experience. I felt that it was playful, that it was waiting for me to blink. It knew I was going to blink. It was trying to make me blink so it could disappear. But at the same time, it felt very playful to me, and that we were entertaining each other, having fun with each other, So those have been the types of experiences that I've had. I've even had disembodied voices where I'm trying to collect an EVP and it talks right in my ear. I say, how close are you? And it says close. And I'm thinking, holy mackerel, what the hell was that? And I'm looking at the people around me. I said, did y'all hear that? To make sure that I wasn't the only one. So, we've had a number of experiences like that.
Well, and you said that you brought something because I was to ask you that. And I know there are times when they communicate with you, you kind of feel at ease with that spirit. But has there been a time to where fear or concern came upon you when something made evident that, hey, I'm here, but they had kind of like maybe a more of a negative experience with it?
Yes, I have. There was one in particular that I probably will never forget, and it's made quite the impression on me. It was during that trip to the hotel in the Fremont House in Galveston. My daughter was picked up by a spirit. Physically picked up, slammed down on the floor, and it began to choke her. It got on top of her and was choking her. She was wiggling on the floor trying to get away from it. I was a rescue captain in the fire department for 10 years, and I'm watching this, and I'm thinking, I froze. I didn't know what to do. My natural tendency was to go over, grab it, and yank it off, but I couldn't see it. I couldn't tell what it was. How do you go over and grab something and yank it off when your hands go through it, And I'm sitting there mystified, not knowing what to do. Well, today I know what to do, and I'm prepared. So if it happened again, I wouldn't be in that state because I know what to do. And I think that's the most important part is if you know what to do next, then it doesn't frighten you so much. But if it catches you off guard and you're not prepared, you're at a loss and you freeze up. You don't know what to do. And there are moments of fear then.
No, and I think it's healthy to fear because that way you don't make mistakes in a way. What I'm saying, you're not fully prepared to deal with what it is that you're prepared. Well, how do you prepare for the unpreparable, right? So,
Right.
What do you do, especially in a moment like that? Because I've never witnessed or had an experience quite shocking like that. So once that was all said and done, how was she? Was there any marks on her?
There were, of course, bruises and marks on her, yes, and prints on her neck and stuff. So yes, that did exist, and they're quite often. My daughter is very gifted. She's pretty good psychic. She has been bitten and scratched a lot, and so we have photographs of a lot of those. In fact, it's a normal procedure in her case that she is photographed before we go and photographed when we get back, so that any marks that appear, her mother has documented it before and after the investigations.
Well, we're talking about your daughter as an adult now. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Was there any evidence of this as she was growing up that she had this gift or this ability?
Well, yes, there were. In fact, that's a bone of contention between us today, in that she always reminds me that I was on her case to find friends that she could play with that, were real. Can she find some real friends to play with instead of imaginary friends? So she was having these experiences as a child, and I was thinking they were imaginary, not realizing that they were real.
That's fantastic and very interesting at the same time, because I remember going back to my childhood, I would say, Matt, not quite to that extreme, but because, as an only child and, you don't go out much, you have to find ways to entertain yourself. And sometimes, I don't know if I manifested it's like not another reality, but I know that I would stay home, wait for mom to get home, and it felt like it took just minutes, but it probably was hours. But I was with my imaginary friends as well, but not to that extent. I don't have any kind of gift like that at all, my friend. But so now we're moving forward with all these years of experiences that you had, because you're also helping other people, giving them advice too with their groups as well, right?
We do publish daily, try to post on a number of sites, a paranormal term of the day. We have about 380 terms right now that we're posting. So it takes over a year to go through all the words, and we add to it every day. Uh, we'll pick up a new word every once in a while. And of course, we get comments all the time from people. Oh, I haven't talked about that, or I hadn't heard about that, or that's new. It's something that, and then again, some of them say, hey, I just ran into that yesterday or in an investigation. Thank you for publishing it or putting it out there. So we're starting to get a following of people that really enjoy our paranormal term of the day. Right now, I'm banned in my personal account on Facebook for posting. They've got me listed as a spammer because I post in so many groups. And so I haven't been able to post all week this week. So there are about 200 sites that are not getting our post, but I have managed to spend a day going through and getting some people to post our thing in their page to let them know we've been banned and to come to our regular site so that they can get a copy of our term of the day.
And normally I say this for the end of the show, but what is that website? So in case people they need to know this knowledge and want to go ahead and learn some new terms, where can they go?
They could go to our Facebook page. One of them is, Paranormal Houston Investigations is the name of the Facebook page. Also, my name is my personal site. I post them on that also. We have a closed group, which is a smaller group that is under the same name, but it's a private group. There's a public group and a private group. We also have a website that is paranormalhoustoninvestigations.org. We are a 501c3 IRS certified nonprofit organization. We do accept donations. So if somebody wants to donate, they can go and do it on our paranormalhouston.org page.
And that's one of the things, I was going to talk about it, but I was thinking, how do I ask this question? Because being that you are not charging for the investigations, there are no fees involved,
Right.
And try to find funding sometimes it get challenging, just like podcasting.
Sure.
So sometimes you have to go to these conventions, sell merchandise in order to generate income. So you can pay for the advertising and for the equipment. And so with that part, paranormal investigating can be quite expensive depending on what it is you use. Some people use lavish electronic devices. Some people just use regular old style dowsing rods or whatever. So what is your choice of when you go out there? What have you been using?
We use a little bit of everything that we can. We have a drone that we've used on a couple of investigations. The Goatman Bridge, when we went up near Denton, Texas, and when we went to Waverly Hills in Louisville, Kentucky, we used the drone to do a preliminary flight of that building. We use it quite often, and it's $2,000, a little over 2,000. In fact, that's just for the bare bones drone, and we have some attachments for it. It's got 3 Hasselblad cameras on it, so it's a fairly expensive drone. We do have some other pieces of equipment that are quite expensive, some that we haven't used in quite a while. We have a 12 camera system CCTV unit that we set up. We run wires to those cameras that we can set up and monitor and record. And we then have some of the individual cameras that we can move around that are 4K. Well, in fact, we have a 5K camera on order right now. That is a GoPro that we're trying to add to our collection of cameras so that we can capture evidence. We have a fairly expensive, we've got the top of the line Zoom H4n manual digital recorder. We still have some of the original cassette recorders that we had, and a reel-to-reel tape recorder. A lot of people are finding that they like having the electromagnetic tape because a lot of times some of these entities we're getting reports of some of these entities making recordings on the tape without even playing the tape. It's electromagnetic in nature, so they can project an image on the tape in an unopened package, for that matter. Wow. But so we're experimenting in those areas also, and I just picked up. I had a reel-to-reel tape in storage. I just got it back out, and we're cleaning it up and getting it ready to start trying to use again for some of the EVPs where we set up. So, but it takes a lot of room and stuff. I'm really looking to get a van that we can put all this stuff in, and we haul our stuff in trailers in the past. It's a lot of equipment to have to haul and carry. But we're hoping to get a closed-in van that we can permanently install some of this equipment in, and a big television monitor so we can monitor everything from the van.
That's amazing. You're just like a mobile lab, man. That's fantastic. And of course, we're talking about the different types of equipment. And it's kind of funny that some of the old school stuff, that's the ones you get some of the better results. And with what you have now, can you name something to where that you recorded or evidence that you caught that even for a well-experienced man such as yourself, that you're looking at it and it kind of gives you the goosebumps? Like, I cannot believe I just caught this.
We've got a number of tapes that we keep that have been meaningful for us. One of them was one that started us on our public when we started to help restore cemeteries and do cemetery cleanups. We had been out restoring a cemetery that needed love. We had been on a tour of Belleville, Texas, that had some kind of a haunted tour that they were doing, where old houses were open that they had opened up, and they had sold tickets to let people come and go through their homes. And we took the tour through their homes. Some of the homes dated back to the Civil War. A number of them had cemeteries nearby that had Civil War people buried there. And in one of the cemeteries that we went to, we picked up an EVP of a little girl. And that EVP was, "Help me!" And that's all we got while we were doing EVPs there. There was a cold spot. We were having a temperature drop, and one of the investigators is in the background. You can hear him reading out temperatures as the temperature is dropping, and we're trying to collect EVPs from this person, and we get this child that says, "Help me." So anyway, when we got back to Houston, we found the EVP. We played it back to the team, and that's when our team decided that we wanted to go back to that cemetery, find out what this little girl wanted and why she needed help. Unbeknownst to me at the time, some of the team members had bought some teddy bears and some toys for a little girl. And so when we got through with getting the yard, the cemetery mowed, and weed-eated around some of the tombstones and stuff, we did find a grave for us as a young girl, and we placed the toys on that grave. In the past, we have gone back. This is a number of years ago, and we've gone back, and that teddy bear became very cruddy over the years. It looks like it's well used, believe it or not, and we've never heard from that little girl again.
And that cemetery, how old was that cemetery?
That cemetery, gosh, I think that it dated back to the 1860s.
Wow. And it's one of the things, that there are a lot of cemeteries like that have been long forgotten, that
Right.
I think the kind of attention and love that you guys provide, and that's a great thing you do. It's a beautiful thing. And now that we're 2025, coming up, and you're involved in a lot of different projects, but now are you having some sort of a talking with TV and filming crew? Are you going to be doing some more documentaries? Are you going to be trying to do a pilot season of a show? What's going on there, my friend?
Well, we have talked to a television group that is kind of a private television group. They do for the internet, and they've asked that we do some documentaries of some type to present on their program. And we're considering that. We're kind of working at it, and we have some ideas on what we want to present on that. In fact, we did a little bit of a series on that. One of our best videos that we've done so far is called The Road to San Jacinto, which has had a high volume traffic on it, where we follow, we went to a performance, well, a meeting, I guess you'd call it, at the Texas San Jacinto Battleground. And the guy that wrote the book, oh God, what was it called? The Road to San Jacinto is the name of the title of the book, in fact. But his name is Dyer, Dave Dyer. He went and spent time at each of the sites that Sam Houston camped at on his way from the time he became general of the Texas Army to the time of the Battle of San Jacinto. And so he located each of these sites where they camped, gave coordinates, has a thing that where you can listen to the story of what went on there. He documented some of the journal entries and stuff that he got from historical documents from some of the people that were involved in Houston's army and in the Mexican army, and some of the people that were just witnesses to some of these events, their journals and stuff. So anyway, we had done a podcast with him, and then we went out and started filming these locations and trying to follow his journey. And that was a big hit on some of our stuff. My goal is also to do a little bit, I did a little bit on TikTok, where I did a daily report in February through March, where we went to San Antonio was 5,000 Mexicans arrived in San Antonio the day they surrounded the Alamo. There are 285 Texans inside the Alamo that are standing off these Mexicans. And I report on the history of what actually happened on each of those days, for the 13 days that the Alamo resisted the Mexican army. So that's kind of popular. We have a number of hits on that too. And that was a fun thing to do, but I want to put it all together and come up with a history that follows the whole thing through. So many people, Houston's growing very rapidly. It's predicted that by 2027 or 2020 or 2030, it's going to be the largest city in the United States, bigger than Chicago, bigger than New York, bigger than LA. So, and all these people a lot of people are coming from New York and they're coming from California. I don't like the way I'm more conservative. I don't like the way they vote in New York. I don't like the way they vote in California. So what can we do to help make these people Texans? I'm thinking that if we follow the history, we teach them about where we come from in Texas and what we do as Texans, make them more Texan. Hopefully they'll vote right, and keep our place, because that's why we're growing. It's because our place that we're taking care of has an economy that's growing and stuff, where other people have made it impossible to live where they are. Let's face it.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I went to Texas about 15 years ago and flew to Dallas Fort Worth and made my way down to Houston. And nothing to do with paranormal investigating. I'm just going on a side thing. That's the first time I went to this one restaurant. It's the first time I had fried alligator.
Okay.
I don't remember the name of was it called Papa Do or something like that? But it was the most interesting meal I ever had. So with all this, my friend, you got so much going on. So
it's a very diverse community. There are people from all over the world here. We're the medical center of the world.
So one more thing before I go. I was going to go, but in Houston, you mentioned something about a haunted road or a haunted highway.
There are a number. There's Patterson Road is one, and there's I get a road that I keep thinking Stagecoach Road, but that's in Marshall. But there's one that's out near Dayton, Texas, that is a similar road that has a light on it that we've been to too. But the name of the road's not coming to me right off the top of my head.
That's okay. It's because a lot of these stories, when it comes to a road, a highway, or a bridge, a lot of them have a similar theme,
right,
of some sort of tragedy that happened. And I think this spirit holds on where either that road or that bridge, and they never leave. And they're there for generations. So, for our friends and listeners of the show, and I know we mentioned the websites earlier, but they want to learn more about your group and where you're going to be next. Where can they find out?
Well, they can, if they have any questions and want to contact me personally, they can go to houstonghost@gmail.com. That is my email. And then, of course, they can go to our website, Paranormal Houston Investigations.org, which is our 501c3 site. And it's got a form there for contacting us and things. And you can go to our Facebook pages, Paranormal Houston Investigations. We got the YouTube channel, Exploring the Supernatural. We've got TikTok. We've got Instagram. We've got a number of sites.
Excellent. And once all these projects, and once you get that TV show up and running with the film crew, I would love for you to come back on the show. Let's talk about it. Let's see what you find out there. And if you have some news stories you want to share, please come back to the show. We would love to hear about it.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, my friend. This has been another excellent episode of Let's Find Out with Diego. Please check us out on all our social media pages, as well as on YouTube and Rumble. Like, share, and subscribe. Also, Let's Find Out is on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. Catch the show on Saturdays at 2 a.m. For more information, please visit KGRADB.com. That's KGRADB.com. Together, we will get one step closer to finding out. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Until next time, my friends.
Let's find out with Diego, the power of Diego Mania.
All content for Let's Find Out is property of co-host Diego and is served directly from our servers with no modification, redirects, or rehosting. All celebrity impersonators are paid performers. The impersonated celebrities do not endorse or promote any views or opinions expressed by our guests, co-host Diego, or Let's Find Out. The information shared on Let's Find Out is provided on an as-is basis, with no guarantees of completeness, accuracy, usefulness, or timeliness.